I'd like to ask our legislative consultant, Kevin Cleary from Kevin Cleary Government Relations, to talk to you about our advocacy, the bills and the legislation that we were following this year, what the status is, and what we're going to be looking at for next year. This is always very important, and as you know, sometimes we partner with the chapters to ask you to do lobby days or to ask you to notify or get in touch with your legislators so that, and we give you information that you can tell them to help us advocate for bills that are important to all of you as members. So Kevin's going to give us a little more information about that. You can use that podium over here if you want. So thank you, Kevin. Nice to see you.
Good morning, everybody. Wow.
Good.
I think this past year we were fairly successful. We got a number of bills. We're very interested in trying to get you a COLA. It's very expensive. We think we have the right bill in. We're trying to work with the other interests to coalesce around a COLA, which would not only increase the base, but would provide some catch-up for some people on more fixed incomes. We got some of those bills moving. It's unclear. So that was one of our issues. We were very successful in the budget in beating back efforts to take away some of the existing benefits that you get. As you know, you get reimbursed for your Medicare premium, and you currently get reimbursed for your Part A and Part B IRMA. The budget wanted to take away your IRMA payment. So we were able to beat that back. I think we're concerned generally about the whole issue of the Medicare benefit. As you know, when Medicare was introduced, the state made a pact with retirees that when they require you to enroll in Medicare as a condition of continuing your health coverage, they were going to hold you harmless for all the Medicare charges. Over time, that largely held, but starting with Governor Cuomo, he tried to freeze the Medicare premium and take away your IRMA. So that has become that's become an ongoing budget battle for us. The first year, Governor Hochul did not make a move on that. We thought it perhaps was in the rearview mirror, but last year's budget, it was revived. We think next year's budget's going to be very tight. The governor has already announced that through her budget director that there'll be no new spending on the part of the state agencies, and she's also announced that there'll be no new revenue. So given that context, we expect a very tight budget submission by the governor. So that will come in January. So we'll react to that at the time. The legislature, she also is thinking about reopening the congestion pricing issue, which she froze and is in the courts. That's going to cost some money as well. So there is some tentative obligations to spend. So we expect next year's budget to be pretty tight. And typically after a legislative election, the budgets tend to be a little bit tighter. The governor's not running this year, as you know. So this is probably will be a tight budget. And then if she is anticipating any spending initiatives, she would wait till her reelection year, which would be the year after next. We've been fighting hard to get identical benefits for Medicare folks. Medicare does not pay for long-term care, but they do, and as a result, the NYSHIP benefit for skilled nursing facilities is not included. Despite the fact that active employees get it, when you retire and you go on Medicare, you lose your skilled nursing facility benefit. So we've been trying to fight that for years. We've had some good legislative allies. One of them we're losing this year. Senator Breslin's retiring. So we'll need to get a new sponsor. That bill was reported to the fiscal committees last year. We have had it pass both houses unanimously and be vetoed. But the governor is with the veto, the governor said that we thought that she would entertain putting some funding in the budget because she said there was no money in the budget to pay for the bill. But she's shown no interest in funding that benefit as well. So that that's an ongoing fight for us also. As you're probably aware, in New York City, it's been in the courts for a couple of years. The city tried to impose a mandatory Medicare Advantage health benefit on city retirees who had earned their own health benefit. That remains in the courts. We were up against not only the governor, the mayor who was trying to save $600 million, but also the active employee unions were in favor of it because the $600 million was arguably going to go in the form of some sort of a pay increase to active employees. In the state, last year, we got some legislation introduced by Assemblyman Zebrowski and Senator Harckham, which would not allow the state to follow a similar path. There's been a lot of rumors that civil service has been talking to insurance carriers about the possibility of Medicare Advantage as an alternative to NYSHIP. That has not happened so far. Assemblyman Zebrowski and Senator Harckham have legislation in that was advanced to the fiscal committees in each house. We lost Senator Zebrowski this year to retirement, so we'll be looking for a new sponsor there as well. Senator Harckham is very enthusiastic about the bill. So there's been a lot of attacks on the health benefits, especially for retirees. It seems to be an easier way to save money, so we'll see in a tight budget how that fares. And as we try to get a cost of living adjustment for retirees who certainly have their cost of living has not kept up with the cost of living. They're very expensive bills, which is why we're trying to coalesce around a bill and perhaps get some additional movement on it. Again, it would not only increase the base on which the cost of living is computed, but it would also provide a catch-up for some of the cost of living adjustments that were due and not granted over time because the state at the time didn't include them on an annual basis. So, any other bills that you want to talk about?
Just talk a little bit about changes in the legislature,
Oh, sure.
retirements and people coming
Absolutely.
on and so forth. We've got a number of elections, important elections too.
Yeah. Go ahead. Hey. The Assembly has 150 members, and 15 of them are retiring. 11 of those are Democrats, four are Republicans. And in the Assembly, there'll be 8 committees who will be losing their chairs. So there'll be a lot of musical chairs going on as people with less seniority are now going to be eligible for the first time to chair committees. Some committee chairs may want to move to other committees. There's a couple of big committees in the Assembly that are available, Ways and Means being one of them. The Speaker pro temp is also available. So the Assembly is going to have a 10% turnover year from one election to the other is fairly significant. In the Senate, the 4 senators are not running for re-election. Senator Breslin, as I mentioned, is retiring. There are 3 other senators that are either running for Congress or ran for Congress and didn't win a primary. So it's a smaller number. Each house in the in the state legislature has a supermajority, which means that over two-thirds of the members in New York are Democrats. Arguably, that could mean if they got their self together, they could override any veto because it requires a two-thirds majority. That's never happened. It's unlikely. But the fact that they have supermajorities is significant. It's unclear at this point in time because there is also a number of close races. How that's going, because the supermajority is fairly narrow in each house. So it's unclear at this point whether they'll be maintained in each house, and even how significant it is given the fact that they haven't exercised the supermajority stuff. A real friend to RPEA is the Assembly Government Employees Chair, Stacey Pfeffer Amato. She's got a tough race. She had a tough race last time. Fingers crossed and she gets reelected because she's been incredible for us in terms of getting bills introduced and trying to get bills moved. Yeah,
Queens.
Southern Queens, right? No, Democrat. She's a chair. All the chairs are Democrats. So we're concerned about that. She's been fantastic. The governor's popularity, as I'm sure you've read, at least as far as the polls are concerned, is well under 50%. I think the last one was under 40%. Yeah. And in fact, her popularity is lower than Donald Trump's in New York at this point in time, which is, at least to me, is kind of astonishing. We're hearing that she has made offers to congressional candidates to help their campaigns, and some of them aren't interested in her help at this point in time, given her popularity. So she's got a hill to climb in 2 years if she's going to get reelected. So we'll see how that plays out. So I think next year we'll probably still see a very strong majority, Democratic majority in each house. They'll have a tough time with a budget that's going to be awful stringent. I'm sure there might be a few surprises. Any surprise would not be welcome, but we're available to fight that. And generally, we've done very well. The legislature's been very responsive in the budget to make sure that Medicare benefits and other things are protected.
Great. Thank you very much, Kevin. We really appreciate it.